Hey everybody, welcome to Steel City Fandom. I know you've been missing some talking, so tonight we're talking
anime. Actually, live action anime.
live action anime because the One Piece show, we watched it like crazy people. Well, not like crazy people.
No, it took me until Monday finally
We
to finish
enjoyed it. We took our time and
Yeah.
enjoyed it over a few days. I had a nice weekend, watched it with my family. We watched we all watched it together on Justin and I and Brock watched it Thursday for the podcast.
Yep.
And then I watched like 2 Friday while we ate dinner. I watched 2 Saturday. And then like maybe 2 Sunday, then 1 Monday, 1 Tuesday.
Okay.
Because my wife watched this for the first time and she like loved it. So she was like,
which is great.
Which is great. Which just proves my theory that I'll say later. But yeah, it was like Sunday and we were like hanging out. We're just sitting outside and she was like, does anybody want any of this pie that I made? I'm like, yeah, let's all have some. And then she's like, well, let's watch One Piece while we did it. And Alex was like, that's something I never thought I'd hear Mom say. And I'm like, yeah, this is great.
Love it.
So generally overall with this show, I could not be more impressed with how great it is.
It's fantastic. I agree 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I was excited from the trailers, but honestly going into it, I was a little bit like, okay, I hope this isn't silly. And I hope this isn't like, man, this is tough to get through. But like, it's not at all. Like, first of all, from a CGI perspective and from a cinematography perspective, it's beautiful. Like,
unbelievable.
The world of One Piece that they portray in there is beautiful.
Unbelievably beautiful. From the ships to the islands that they really only got 2 islands, but
2 islands. But even when they show you like a CGI render of like what the island looks like when they're arriving on it, all of that, the ocean scenes, just the people, the villages, the marine bases, it just looks so like it's just like anime come to life. Like it's amazing looking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it couldn't look better. And the special effects are good. The fighting choreography, all that stuff they nailed. I mean, they nailed it. It looked great. But the thing that just makes this show so good is I don't think I've ever been more happy with a cast.
No, in every single one of the cast. Not just like, oh, these guys are really good and these guys are, they're all right. Everyone that was in this was fantastic.
So before we even get to the Straw Hats, start on the Marine side. Garp is great.
Garp is
like,
great.
It is a Scottish accent. It's a little different to get used to. But you just see how much of like Garp he really is. Like getting distracted by like wanting to eat meat and like all that stuff is just nailed perfectly. Like it's the same character. The way they displayed how strong he is.
Yeah.
Without really going into why he's that strong, but you're like, oh shit, this guy's tough.
Yeah, when he picks up the one cannonball early on and just chucks it at the ship.
I thought like all the Marines are good. Kobe was good. Kobe's friend's good. All those characters are well done.
Yeah, Kobe and Helmeppo, perfectly like written and acted to get each of their personalities from the anime. And again, I'm an anime watcher. I've never read the manga.
Yeah.
But from personality wise, from the anime to live action, I thought they were both perfect.
And I'll tell you what I actually like in the live action better than the anime is Kobe's story. You really see, like, you don't see Kobe anymore after the first episode. And then it's like, oh, here's Kobe. And you're like, oh, here's his backstory. They tell you, like, meanwhile, here's what he was going through. I liked it almost the way they set this live action up, that it's a parallel of, like, 2 friends that meet in episode 1. They become friends. They're so supportive of each other. One's going to be king of the pirates. One wants to be the best, an admiral at some point, and you get to watch it together.
Yeah. And I think what they did there was, I think they skipped ahead a little bit to bring the Kobe and Helmeppo story forward.
Yeah.
Because in in the Arabasta saga, the second big saga of the anime,
Yeah.
Kobe and Helmeppo get their own little two or three episode arc
Yeah.
that they kind of showed in this, kind of to
Mhm.
bring it forward a little bit.
And I think it's better the way they're doing it, because I'll be honest with you, when I started watching a show and I dived right in, by the time I got to that, I forgot who Kobe was. Because
Okay.
the way I watched it, I watched the first East Blue in like a month. I didn't go like you and watch it in like a week. I watched, so it was like a month, and it was like 2 or 3 months by the time I saw him again. I was kind of like, who's this? I didn't even remember who Helmeppo was. I didn't know, like, I was like, oh, that's that kid from then they flash it back and you're like, yeah, okay. Where this, I feel like Kobe sticks with you more.
Yeah.
Because you're getting to see that he's like supporting Luffy and Luffy supporting him. I thought it's really well done.
Yes.
You were a little hesitant on Shanks from the trailers.
Yeah, and it was a terrible angle. They did him dirty in that trailer. Shanks is amazing.
Shanks is so good. The wisdom that he portrays, the level of power that he just showed for a second when he said, get lost, and like the eyes went, you're like, oh shit, Conqueror's hockey being used on this show. No one even knows what it is.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't watch it, you're like, what did he do there? Like, I'm like, yep. Like, that was Saber's first question. What did he do there? I'm like, oh, well, this is a tough one to explain. Like, I don't, some things I'm like, I doubt they're ever going to get to this in the live action, but who knows? But, he's just portrayed so well, like the humility that he shows, the caring for Luffy, a little bit of mystery. His Shanks was great. His crew was great.
Oh, his crew almost straight off the pages of the manga.
The only one I thought was a little not as cool looking was the guy. I always forget his name. Not Yasop or the other, or the one that is like who has the guns. The one that held Kizaru at gunpoint.
Yeah, he didn't look quite as.
He looked a lot older in the live action than he does there. I forget what his name is.
Is that the Ben guy?
Yeah, it's
like Ben Beckham or something like that.
Beckham is his last name. Yes. I thought Beckham looked Beckman or whatever looked a little older. Looked a little the guy they had playing him, I don't know, but he doesn't have much of a role anyway, so. But Yasop was cool. Next I thought Mihawk was fantastic.
Oh yeah, Mihawk was another
the
one.
Sword
Another
was
one that was
so
great.
cool. The way the guy was. I mean, everything about him was just like, you so want to know more about this guy.
Mm-hmm. And I liked the way that I liked how they brought him in the live action versus the anime.
Yeah.
Because in the anime, he just kind of shows up.
Yeah. Well, you hear the one guy talking about that Don Krieg or whatever, that this guy destroyed his whole ship, which they still do that and they talk about it. But it made more sense that and they didn't show Hawkeye sailing around in that tiny little boat.
No. I kind of was hoping they weren't going to do that, but
yeah, it's kind of silly a little bit. I was glad they removed silly aspects of it that were like, that maybe would take another person out. Like, this guy's a badass and he's in this tiny little boat. Like, like, it's a little weird. How's he moving? There's like, it's one little sail, but it just, you didn't need that. It was just the fact that he showed up, his presence, the look, the fucking sword was so great. I mean, so great.
I was so shocked that they actually put the little necklace sword in there. And they didn't, it didn't come off as weird.
No, it just showed you that, like, again, it hints at that greater power and like what he's doing,
Yeah, like, I thought for sure, I'm like, they're gonna leave this out of the live action because this is gonna look goofy, and it didn't.
No, it was good. All that was good. My next favorite was definitely Buggy. Buggy was awesome.
He was so good.
He was so good. All the
And I
shithead
don't
references and
I don't
shit.
really like Buggy in the anime. Even now, I'm not a big Buggy fan, but this
Yeah,
dude,
Buggy's a little hard because he's super annoying and screams so much. Where this one was more like good punchlines, good delivery. This guy was really good.
yeah. And the other thing that I don't know that I've ever really paid that much attention to Buggy, like even in the beginning, his whole thing with his nose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I ever really put two and two together that that's his actual nose.
Yeah,
That's
if you
not
look
like a prop.
right, because if you look in the show, like his nose goes right into that nose.
Yeah.
He's like born that way, you
Yeah.
know.
And I don't know that I ever put that together on the anime. I just
Yeah.
figured, oh, Buggy the Clown, he dresses like a clown, he's going to have a big red nose. Like, not realizing that that's his actual freaking nose. And that's why he's so sensitive about it in the beginning when you
Yes.
first talk to him or when he first, comes on. Um I thought Elvito was fine.
Yeah,
Um
she's fine. I don't think they're going to do the whole route where Oda made her skinny and like attractive, you know.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that in the anime or in the live action, but I think we'll see her back. They kind of teased a little bit of a team up there between the two of them towards the end.
Yeah, they definitely did.
So I think we'll see her back again. Who else? Axe Hand Morgan, I do think was a little. I don't know how else you could have portrayed him.
Yeah, he was a little yeah, I don't know. He to me isn't that big of a deal. I saw
No,
people that were like, oh hey, Axan Morgan deserved better. I'm like, why?
no,
Like
I don't
what's
agree
so
with
great
that.
about Axan Morgan? Like he serves a very small purpose. It's more of his son that goes on and does stuff that was more of the big deal, So he
Yeah,
was fine. And I was just glad that it looked fine. Like it
yeah,
didn't look like really like silly. You know what I mean?
yep, yeah. It was
Because
as believable as that could
that
be.
could have looked off. That could have looked
Oh yeah,
weird,
definitely.
but it looked good. That's what I mean. Like everything had that good vibe to it that like wasn't stupid.
Yeah. Another one of the villains that I thought was fantastic was the guy that played Kuro. Um,
Yes.
that dude was he put a whole other level to that character because he was kind
Yeah.
of he was pretty badass in the anime, but he was kind of throwaway.
Yeah, and the fight in the anime was a little longer. Where they kind of had to change those a little bit where Luffy really struggles fighting him because of his speed. And
Yeah,
then he has to like grab onto him and he has to actually get cut a whole bunch, sacrifice getting cut so he could like get to the dude because the dude was so fast. And it just comes down to a thing where they're pressed for time.
yeah,
You could have spent 20 episodes dealing with Syrup Village and all that stuff, but they didn't.
yeah. It was really good. I think I sent you a text message when I watched this. The only change that upset me a little bit, and it makes way more sense than the anime,
Killing
is that
Mary.
they actually killed Mary. Spoiler alert, sorry.
Well, we're talking about spoilers on here. People know.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Um, but it makes way more sense that he would not have been able to live through that, especially with what they ultimately did. Um, but I was a little upset that Mary didn't get to survive the incident.
Yeah. And, she kind of went on her own. It was like, she was going to be good on her own. She didn't need nobody at that point or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that part was fine. But, yeah, he was good. I mean, I liked the evilness of him, the way they portrayed him. There were so many moments in there where it looked like it came right off the page of the manga or the page out of the anime.
Oh, I've seen probably 100 memes that show a panel from the anime, a panel from the manga, and then basically the exact same scene that they did in live action.
Right, right. Yeah, so all that was really good. So yeah, we've named most of the characters. I think Arlong and the Fishmen also were really well done.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
some complaints about Arlong should have been bigger. You got to save on CGI somewhere.
Agree.
You could have made him hulking looking and all that. Would it have made it any better? I don't think so. I mean, the guy was good. The way he voiced him, so many references in there. The way he referred to about Jimbei being a warlord, and his hatred for him. So much backstory there.
Oh yeah.
They did stuff about Nolan the liar and the tale of the Gold City, and
Oh yeah. They're foreshadowing for 1,000 episodes. You know what I mean? They're foreshadowing it now. Whether they actually end up getting there, we'll see.
And we'll talk about that at the end. But yeah, I mean, all that stuff was so well done, so thought out. The fishmen look good. They didn't do the octopus fishman that becomes their friend, right?
No, yeah, Hachin. They didn't. I didn't see him at least.
Isn't that who Usopp fights?
No, Zoro fights him because remember he's got the six sword.
That's
the
right.
Six sword technique.
Usopp did fight the guy that was spitting in the anime,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, the guy that Usopp took out, that was basically straight from the anime. He was running.
Yeah,
he had to run from him, and he used the fire star to blow up the booze.
Yeah. Zoro didn't really have a guy to fight. It was more like Sanji had that guy, and Zoro backed him up a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, talking to the Straw Hats, start with Usopp. I love that kid.
Usopp is fantastic.
The comedic timing is great.
And he annoyed me just like he did in the anime, but
yeah,
I know there's new stuff coming, so I know what to expect. But yeah,
he's the perfect Ben of comic relief, the lying, the making up stuff, like those aspects of the things Usopp did made a non-One Piece fan like my wife. We'll use her as the scale. She loved that. So when he was like, I don't really know if I should be out here. Maybe I should go guard the ship. She's laughing. Where me and Alex are like, that's typical Usopp stuff, like he's a chicken shit coward about all this stuff.
Yeah.
But steps up when he has to. He was fantastic. Nami, I thought she did a great job.
Fantastic job.
She was great in her episodes. She was the disgust with Luffy, the annoyance with Luffy, and then the caring about him, caring about Zoro. That girl's great. She's doing a great job. I mean, these five, I don't think they could have picked a better five.
No. Zoro, same thing. Zoro was the stoic lines, and then every once in a while you get a little zinger from him.
I can't tell you how much I love this guy as Zoro. I mean, Zoro's my favorite to begin with, and one of the reasons I love the show from the beginning. And he just portrays it so good. Like, again, using her as a barometer for this or whatever, she was like, he's so cool. She was like, what's his story? Like, was instantly like, that guy's so cool. And she said, like, I want a Zoro. Like, how Luffy has him. Like,
oh, he's completely ride or die.
The line that he gives after he's injured and they're worried about him dying. I mean, that part, it had me choking up. Like, then he's, you're my cat. Like, it's like that scene, like my wife was going, oh, like that's so sweet. Oh, she's like, I want a Zoro. I'm like, everyone wants a Zoro to be your right hand man. Like, he's so good. He's so good with the swords. I'm glad they didn't overdo 3 sword style. They made it special.
Yep. There was one scene I saw somebody point out when he does like some kind of a forward roll in the yard scene. His Yamada, what is it? Yamada Ichiguri, or the sword he got from his trainer that was his friend.
Luffy gave it a great name. I forget what he called it, but it was great.
That sword, like, there's one scene, if you slow it down, the sword bends as he's rolling forward.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
well, I'm not
but
doing
that
all
was
that, but
that was really the only thing there.
I mean, I liked it when he used it originally. I got so excited.
Well, because
when he put the headband on,
so cool.
Yeah, and then he gave that, and you could see he did kind of like a slash that like knocked him down. Like, you know, he's doing all that stuff. His fight in Syrup Village was great.
Yes.
against the cat pirates. That was great. When he kicked both of their ass, you know. The way he spins the swords. I mean, he's just so good. And it's not even the action. When he's not in combat mode, the way one hand's always on that sword is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This kid is Zoro fully embodied.
He's good. Him and Sanji they're great together.
Yes. Always. It doesn't seem to be quite as adversarial as it is in the anime, which is good. And
that's okay, because it doesn't have to be,
because sometimes the two of them, sometimes in the anime, the two of them annoy me. Because I know they're brothers, I know they have each other's back, but sometimes their back and forth gets me a little on edge. But this so far has been great. Did you notice? I think they saved it for the last village. It was during the assault on Arlong Park, when Buggy finally gets his body back, and he's like, "Peace out." He's like, "I'm out of here," and Zoro's just like, "Fucking clown."
yeah, that was great. They actually swore. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that I thought was great was, introducing the way they introduce those people. You don't realize how perfect they are, and like, Zoro's this cool, stoic, badass guy. Usopp's the chicken shit. Nami's the tough woman. Then they introduce Sanji into that crew, and like, he's so good at, like, he's just nice. He's like supportive, and like, but he's also brave. They didn't overdo it with the going nuts over Nami, but like, him going. It was such a great scene when she comes running and goes, "You guys are safe." And he's like, "Nami," and she just runs right past and hugs Usopp and Zoro, and he's just like, "Oh, you know, like, that was good." The hitting on Nami's sister, and she's like, "Yeah, nice try," and he just smiles. Like, he's great, and his martial arts scenes were great. Love
that kid's good.
Love that guy.
Yep. Yeah.
Everything about it.
And now we got to talk about Iñaki as Luffy. Talk about perfect casting.
I know.
This kid just embodies everything that Luffy is.
Yes. He is just absolutely fantastic. Like, I don't even know. I can't put into words the amount of effort this kid puts into this role. Like, every time he says, "Hi, Zoro," it sounds just like how Luffy. Obviously the voice acting isn't the same, but it's the same emotion. If you watch One Piece, you know that no matter what scene is going on, whether they're in the middle of a battle, whether Luffy's getting yelled at, whether they're in trouble, if he sees Zoro, who is like his first mate, he has the same reaction. "Oh, hey, Zoro!" Like, he gets excited to see him. You know, like, it's not like, "Oh, hey, there you are." He's happy every single time, and they did that. And I don't know if a lot of people caught that or realized that, but you could tell that this actor watches the show and knew to do a lot of that. You know what I mean? Like, because you could tell him that, and I don't know if he would portray that. I feel like he really does know the character.
Yeah, I agree.
Getting people's names wrong, not listening, the awkward smile when people are yelling at him and he's not really paying attention. You know, they did a little bit of Zoro getting lost, didn't they? They went the wrong way, and they were like, "They're going the wrong way, turn around." They did one little throwback with that. They didn't do a lot of it. I hope they do that more, because it is great.
It is funny, and and I agree. I hope they kind of lean into that a little bit. Because it is hilarious.
Yeah.
The other thing, the one, you talk about how every time Luffy sees Zoro, it's the same. I really want this show to someday get to Wano, and I want to see those two actors do the scene when Zoro and Luffy first meet at Wano. Because that was such a great scene in the anime, and I think these two actors would do it just so well. Because even Zoro, like, that's one of the first times, if you noticed, I read an article about this the other day, that after the time skip, Zoro kind of loses his smile. and he kind of loses his humor. But like that first time when they get back
he
together,
spends 2 years training very hard.
Oh yeah, well he loses an eye.
Yeah.
But the first time that he sees Luffy on Wano, the old Zoro just lights up. Mm-hmm. And I really want to see these two actors do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and his little like smiles and grins when he sees Luffy saying something, and then the line about like, I don't have to believe in him; he believes in himself.
Yep.
You know, like it's just so good. They hit on every single like good heartstring moment or good grit. I mean, to put Luffy with the hat on Nami, I took out my phone and I showed my wife the animated version of it. And she's like, oh my God, it's like the same thing. Because even the way Sanji's standing with like a hand in his pocket and a cigarette and like Zoro leaning against a tree, it's exactly the same. They nailed it like perfectly.
That's one of the memes that I saw where they showed the manga panel, the anime still frame, and the still frame from the show.
The only thing is he shouted something differently, but that was fine.
Yeah,
you know, it was fine. But the way he stood there and did the serious face when he said like, you know, of course I will, like, and all that, or like, yep, like it was just, that's one of the scenes that made me love that show early on, was that scene.
Yep.
You know, they play the music, they walked out there, like it was good. The little nods to the One Piece theme in it were great. It just was so good, all those parts. Now, I was surprised it ended where it was. I'm not sure if they're going to still do Logtown before they do Reverse Mountain and do the whole dragon and smoker and Buggy trying to kill him. I guess you could do one episode. That could be one episode if they do a second season, you know, and then Reverse Mountain, I imagine, would be something else.
That's so. Yeah,
who's the guy that follows them to Reverse Mountain? They like kick off the boat. Who was that guy? Somebody they were fighting. He had like blades too. It's been a while. I can't remember it now. Yeah. Remember he shows up on the boat and then they end up kicking him. Sanji kicks him real hard, right, his ass right off the boat, right while they're going up Reverse Mountain.
Yeah. Who was that? I'm going to have to go back and look now after this because I can't remember.
Yeah, we can come back to it. So there hasn't been any announcement for a season 2, but it's breaking all sorts of Netflix records.
It was number 1 trending on Netflix in 84 countries.
Yeah.
It was the number 1 trending on all streaming services in like 30 countries.
Yeah. So it had to have brought in money for them and new subscriptions and everything else. It's a giant hit for them. It just comes down to do they want to spend that much again on a season 2? Why wouldn't you?
I agree. I think
everyone's talking about Netflix right now because of this show. Well, it's like when Stranger Things was out last year and everybody was on the Netflix thing, or, you know, Cobra Kai or any of their other big hits. This is a huge hit for them. It's bigger than Wednesday.
And Wednesday got a second season, so this beating Wednesday, I got to imagine that it's going to get a second season. Now, Wednesday probably didn't cost nearly as much as this.
Right. Which, you know, there's some things you don't have. You already have sets and things you could use, you know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because, I mean, obviously they already have the Logtown set because that was the opening scene of the show.
Right. You have that set. You have the Mary already built.
Yep.
You know, you have a lot of that stuff, costumes, a lot of those things are already created. You wouldn't have to go buy all those Marine uniforms again and outfits and things, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I imagine there's still stuff you need to do. You have Garp ship if you're going to use that. So it could be a little less expensive depending what they do. Obviously, if they're going to show like, so let's say they do a season 2, I figured it would have to be a little bit of I would do one episode that was like Logtown and Reverse Mountain.
I agree.
Get them to the Grand Line, and then the rest of the season should be Alabaster's a lot, though. I mean,
so I was looking through the Wikipedia page. So in the Alabasta, we've got Reverse Mountain arc, like we already said. You do Logtown and Reverse Mountain in episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah.
Whiskey Peak, I don't think is necessary.
The only thing that's necessary with that is you already in episode 1 you established Baroque works and that they're after Zorro.
Yes.
So you gotta establish Vivi when she's Miss Wednesday.
Yeah, and that is where they meet her.
You meet her when she's at Laboon and they're trying to capture Laboon, and she's with Mr. 6 or 5, one of those other idiots.
I don't remember. Mr. 5.
And she's Miss Wednesday, and she's like bad at first, and then they go through that whole Whiskey Peak stuff where like you think
it's a whole town of bounty hunters, but you don't know that.
Yeah, you don't know that. Then you realize some of them are good, and I hope they don't do like Zorro and Luffy fighting over nonsense stuff and all that, you know.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to see Zorro going against 100 members of the Baroque Works, though.
Yeah, so cool. You have to establish Baroque Works and Vivi in some episodes. That way you can get to, you know, the story in Alabasta, which doesn't have to be multiple episodes, but like it should be at least 2 or 3, you would imagine, that cover arriving there, the war, fighting Crocodile. You have to throw Drum Island in there with Chopper at some point.
Yeah, and we don't forget Whiskey Peak. We've already met Miss All Sunday.
Yeah. You know, I mean, because you have to introduce Robin, because I think the best ending for a season 2, let's say season 2, they get through, you introduce Chopper, which we talked about Chopper once before. I wouldn't go with the full on like anamorphic look. I would cast a little kid and like put some sort of like prosthetics on a kid.
Like the little kid they did in, I think, was it called Toothless?
Yeah. Something like that, where it's like a little kid and you give him a little prosthetic reindeer nose and some horns, and you know, you don't have to show him by the feet all the time to see that he has feet, and you spend your CGI on like when he needs to go larger, you know,
or even when he goes into his regular reindeer form.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so we've got
Chopper's a tough one. That's what I mean. Other than Robin, the crew gets tough going forward.
Yeah.
Which maybe some of them they don't do. I don't know, or they change them. I would be okay if they had to change some people. Like, in order for the show to survive from a budget standpoint, I would be okay if like Frankie didn't look like have freakishly looking arms and was just.
No, I mean, make Frankie like Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Terminator.
Yeah, cast a guy that's like big and muscular, and then you could just do stuff with that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. I'm still on the Jamie Lee Curtis as Dr. Korea train. I watched another interview with her just recently, and apparently she's a big fan of the show, and Chopper is her favorite character. So when somebody brought up the idea of her playing Dr. Korea, she was like, yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah, great. Are we gonna get Hero Lick and have him naked with his
God, I hope
clothes
not.
hanging from his dick? Yeah.
So the only other arc between there is, I mean, and you kind of have to Little Garden with the Giants. You got to do something there, because that's where Nami gets sick, which is the only reason they go to Drum Island.
Right, and I don't know if I would maybe like skip that and tie that in somewhere else. You could have they meet Mr. 3 there. You could do it all. You could change some of that, you know.
Yeah.
Because Giants are tough. That's more. You could say there were Giants and you never saw them, or things of that nature. So that one gets tough.
Yep. And then we have Drum Island, which a lot of that would be, I mean, the main guy there turns into a buffalo.
Yeah, and again, there's things there you could sacrifice.
Yeah. And then you get right into Alabasta.
Yeah, and Drum Island could be one episode as well too. So.
Yeah, and so so Logtown Reverse Mountain, Whiskey Peak with a little bit of Kobe and Helmeppo doing their training and maybe getting a little bit of a glow up. Do something where they stop at Little Garden because that's where Nami gets sick.
There is a lot in this. It's one of the bigger ones. It's not one of the bigger ones episode wise, but it's just one of the bigger ones with a lot that occurs.
A lot gets introduced.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you go into Alabasta, we get to meet Ace.
Yeah, well, you have to have Ace. I mean, Ace is key to this. Ace is key to the development of Luffy. You need that.
Yeah.
Have you seen this thing? There's a thing that you sent me on Instagram where they showed you when Gold Roger was killed, they showed you Shanks, Mihawk. Then they showed you a girl, darker skin, long dark hair. A lot of people
lots
think
of gold.
It might be a female version, young version of Crocodile.
Yes.
Because there is a theory out there that Crocodile was once a woman and Eva turned him into a man.
Yes. And I did not remember that exchange at all, but they showed it from the anime where Eva, it's when they're in Impel Down and they come across Crocodile in whatever level he's on, level 5 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
And Eva's like, I know your secret.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. They did show Dragon from behind.
Yep.
Did they show Doflamingo or Gecko Moria?
I did not catch either of those, and I haven't seen anybody like putting that out. I see Dofi doesn't have pink hair, but there was a character in the audience with pink hair that they kind of highlighted a little bit.
Yeah, because he was there young, and so was Moria was there young.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a. So here's the thing: if they feel the need, like One Piece doesn't have really any female villains after Alvida. I mean, all the big villains are all. Boa Hancock's a good guy. I mean, she has a little bit. Mostly all the villains. Big Mom. Yeah, but most of the rest of them are all male villains. If they feel the need to make the gender swap one of them to get like a big female baddie, do it with Crocodile before you do it with any. Don't do it with Dolphy. Dolphy needs to stay a man. Leave everyone else alone. I really don't care as long as Crocodile has sand powers and it's the whole fight or whatever,
Especially if there's precedent for it in the show.
Yeah. That's what they feel they want to do, something like that. Do that one. Don't do other ones. That would be fine. Because it made it feel like they were showing that for a reason.
Well, and then you saw the interview with Inaki and Emily Rudd, and he's like, "Oh, and there was Crocodile. And she's like, "Shut up."
Yeah, Crocodile. He called him.
He's absolutely going to be the Tom Holland of this universe, and he's just going to answer questions without thinking and spoil shit.
Right. So yeah, that was really good. Lot they can do. I don't know. I don't like to get my hopes up with this show, but there's so much I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, oh man, so much you want to see.
Alex, come here.
What?
So Alex is here with me. Just came downstairs. We're gonna get Alex's quick review. Alex, what did you think of live action One Piece?
Oh, I thought it was really good. I liked it.
Talk closer.
I thought it was really good. I liked it.
Favorite parts?
I don't know. I really liked it all. I don't know.
Favorite person?
All of it. Oh, Zoro, obviously. Zoro's amazing.
Mm-hmm. We love Zoro. We're a big Zoro family here now.
Zoro's good.
Kid was good.
What was your favorite episode?
That's a good question. Favorite episode? I really like the Baratier stuff. I thought I really enjoyed those. I like the Zeph at one with Sanji, but I mean, I don't know. The last one was probably my favorite, just to see Sanji and Zoro fight together and all that. I think the episode I probably liked the least was probably some of Usopp's stuff. I would have been okay with maybe they had a lot to tell there, but
Wasn't a great villain.
Yeah, it's my least favorite stuff probably that happens, which is still good, but if I had to put them in order,
For me, the last episode was definitely my favorite when, they finally like come together as a crew. They're the whole fight with Arlong Park.
Mm-hmm.
The confrontation between Garp and Luffy, I thought was great.
Yeah.
Um,
Which didn't happen in the anime, but
it did, just not in the same way.
it happened after Water 7.
Yeah.
After Enos Lobby and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Same kind of scene, but by then he already has Kobe trained up and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, because Kobe kind of like they have a little sparring match there.
Yeah. They have their moments. So yeah, I think it was good. All around, we're pretty happy with it. It's something I'll probably watch again. And hopefully we get a season 2. I mean, let's keep hoping for it. I went out and liked all of it and gave it good ratings, and it's all we can do. Hopefully this stupid writer strike ends soon so it doesn't mess it up.
Yep, that's the biggest fear I think at this point from a fan perspective. I think it's pretty well liked. I've seen two videos on YouTube that didn't like it, and the one guy only watched the first episode, and from like the first 30 seconds of his video, he wanted to hate this from like before it even came out. So
right.
I just don't even consider his review.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them that do that. They're just haters. That's all it is.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I'm
anime purists that just think it's garbage,
Yep. But yeah, no, well, it's big hopes for season 2 and beyond, and
these are the kind of people that want to keep this like to themselves and don't want to share it.
Yeah, gatekeeping.
Because what this show can do for this product is make it a household name. And make people that don't know about it, and make it so that like you can do more with the product, and there can be more merchandise, and there can be more stuff, and make it so that people know, oh, I know what that is. I know who that guy is, oh yeah, I've seen that before. I like that show, and that's what it deserves. It's been on for so long. It's done so well, but like it needs that.
Yeah. And from what I understand, Oda's been working on the live action thing since like 2015 or 2016.
Yeah.
He's been trying to get this going for a long time. I remember years ago when they first announced that it was coming, and neither of us had done anything with the anime yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, isn't this the pirate show? How the hell are they going to do this in live action?
Yeah.
And now years later, I friggin' love it and want to see so much more.
I think the other thing with Netflix with this is if they don't pick this up, couldn't someone else pick it up and they could reach a deal with someone else?
It depends on how the IP is licensed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but let's say they're like, okay, we're not going to do anything with this, and it'll be like, okay, well, if you don't do anything with it in 2 years, then someone else can grab it, and then like,
well, and it may be like, hey, we don't think this is financially good for us. We don't want to go any further with it, but feel free to go shop it around to other networks. And then, yeah, somebody like Sony or Apple, or God, I hope it's not Apple, or, Amazon Prime or somebody could come in and pick it up and run with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I think you would be stupid if you did that, and let's say Amazon picked it up, and then they're like it's a giant hit for them, and it's still going. Like I don't know. I think Netflix can afford it, so we'll see. We'll see what they do.
Yep.
It's definitely a hit. It's definitely doing well, which is good. I'm happy for those. I'm happy for those actors because I think they're really good.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree.
Right, Alex? He agrees. All right. Well, that was our breakdown. We were excited for this one. We'll keep you posted on the podcast of any news we find about it, anything we do, any breaking news, anything like that. And there you go. So, like, share, subscribe. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
Later.